Let's see what you're hiding. All rise. Drop this case. Not a chance.
So we've been all over this story, and tonight it just detonated. A sitting United States Congresswoman is now under federal investigation for immigration fraud. And the White House has now released the documentation. Federal officials are on record, and the word deportation is no longer hypothetical. But that is only the beginning, because what's happening in Minnesota right now goes far beyond one politician. Judges are throwing out million-dollar fraud convictions. State leaders are being accused of criminal conspiracy, and the lies they told to cover it all up are unraveling in real time. So what we're about to show you is going to change how you see the entire system. So here's what's at stake tonight. If a member of Congress can commit immigration fraud, serve in the highest legislative body in the land, and face zero consequences for years, then the law means nothing. If judges can dismiss cases after juries return guilty verdicts, then trials are just theater. If a governor can allegedly enable fraud networks and face no accountability, then elected office becomes a shield for criminals. This is not about a party. This is about whether America still has a justice system that applies to everyone equally. Millions of dollars in taxpayer funds have allegedly been stolen through SNAP and EBT fraud rings in Ohio and Minnesota. Somali-owned businesses are accused of skimming cards and laundering money. And instead of prosecutions, we're watching dismissals. The protection racket's exposed, and the people, the American people, we're footing the bill while the guilty walk free. We got some breaking news, though, for your wealth. Unlike Ilhan Omar, you earned yours honestly. And as we wrap up 2025, it is a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing that we've all learned, it's that uncertainty isn't temporary. It is the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal is not a plan. It's a gamble. And for over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, nobody knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing is for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital, it's physical, and it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table this holiday season surrounded by family, remember the best gift you can give is not under the tree. It's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers. Peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. So before the year ends, take one smart step towards a safer future and visit nextnewsgold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's nextnewsgold.com. Don't leave your future to chance, or call that number 877-646-5347 and find out how you can get your 10 1-ounce silver holiday coins with a qualified account. So here's where the story takes another turn. Governor Tim Walz is not just being criticized. Congressman Greg Steube says Walz should face criminal charges for conspiracy and aiding and abetting criminal behavior tied directly to the Somali fraud scandal. Steube says there are multiple statutes that could apply. Meanwhile, another Minnesota Democrat, Omar Fattah, posted a video instructing illegal immigrants on how to avoid ICE arrests while linking to a CARE-affiliated group that Florida has officially labeled terrorist organization. And on the streets of Minnesota, Americans are reporting open taunting and harassment by illegal immigrants mocking enforcement. The arrogance is no longer hidden. It is on full display. And this just in, it is a movie trailer that I created based on the White House meme that they posted. This could be the very plane that takes Ilhan Omar out of the nation on the Deportation Express.
On a winter night, when hope feels far away, a train once promised a ride to the North Pole. This holiday, something else arrives. The Deportation Express. A one-way ticket, no questions, no returns. And all you have to do is believe you can go home. On a winter night.
So maybe Ilhan Omar should just self-deport. What do you think, right? Maybe she should download the CBP One app and just press that big green button and have that plane come pick her up. And she'll get $1,000 on the way out. And she can take her brother with her. We got this just in from the Oval Office. A Blaze Media reporter asked President Trump if he wants Ilhan Omar denaturalized. Oh, boy. President Trump. Let's listen.
Follow-up question, Mr. President. The fraud that you've been pointing out and talking about in Minnesota specifically, there have been some reports resurfacing and circulating even by your own administration alleging Ilhan Omar's marriage to her brother. And this would be a fraudulent situation. If there, in fact, is found to be fraud in a situation like that, would you like to see her denaturalized or others who have similarly committed fraud?
Well, I think she's very bad for our country. All she does is complain, complain, complain. She comes out of a country where they have no government, they have no military, they have no police, they got no nothing. They don't have a country. And they run around killing each other. And then she comes over here. She tells the United States of America how it should be run. We don't want to hear from her. I don't want to hear from her. I don't want to speak for Emmer, but I don't think Emmer particularly wants to hear. But don't say it because I don't want to get you in trouble, okay? Just be nice and easy, all right? I'll do it for you, but that part I'll do. But I just want to say that, Mr. President, there's nothing worse than a person that comes in and does nothing but bitch and comes from a place where she shouldn't be telling us what to do. She shouldn't be telling us. And everybody agrees with me. And what's happening in Minnesota with Somalia, where billions of dollars is being stolen, right, like candy from a baby, we're not going to let that go on. And it's too great a state to have that happening. And guys like Tom Emmer and others, Pete Stauber, guys like them, they're going to stop it. And they're going to be given the authority to stop it. Because this country's not going to put up with it anymore.
Yeah, let's go, President Trump. Lock her up. Stephen Miller on Fox News, because he's banned from CNN now, had this to say: the Somali community has been engaged in massive systemic fraud against the American
federal investigation. He's right about one thing. It's not brand new. The Somali community has been engaged in massive, endemic, systematic fraud against the American taxpayer for years. We're going to discover ultimately, and we are in the throes right now of a full-throated, all-hands-on-deck federal investigation, is that the scope, scale, size, and sheer magnitude of the fraud eclipses anybody's worst nightmare. Look, according to official government records, 90% of Somali households with children are on federal welfare. The real number is probably 100% because federal records always undercount. So you're talking about a population that has been imported into Minnesota in which virtually every single member of that population is receiving welfare from the federal government. This could very well end up, Laura, being the greatest financial fraud scandal in American history. He's right about one thing. It's not brand new.
That is insane. Oh, yeah. You better get the Deportation Express moving. It is time to launch the flights. Direct flights out of Minnesota in their great white winter. Tim Walz lying through his teeth today about the massive Feeding Our Future fraud, trying to claim heroism for trying to stop it. Under his watch, he ignored multiple warnings in 2020. $250 million got stolen by Somali fraud rings. Whistleblowers were retaliated against. Evidence was destroyed. Stolen money was allegedly sent to Al-Shabaab, a foreign terror group. These facts are known, and Walz is desperately trying to gaslight. Here he is shitting his pants.
But we look at...
Do you have any sense of why there wasn't stronger oversight earlier? Was this a staffing issue, a funding issue?
I think it's how the programs are structured. Again, the programs say this is what you'll do, here's how you get the money out. Looking at them, these people are filling it out. Now, the Feeding Our Future is kind of a unique case because of the chaos around COVID and the amount of money that was there. But we look through these, and again, I would remind all of you, we clearly had one in there in 2021, and I said, don't pay them. And they said, you can't do that. You don't have that authority. I said, do not pay them. Let them sue me. They did. And they won. And we paid them. And then they got caught and went to jail after the fact. So a lot of it is that the programs that are set up, and the Medicaid experts who are here, very challenging because, again, and I would assume we're going to see this, there will probably be holds put on legitimate folks for reasons that look like that, and they may bring us to court. Now I have the legal authority at least to stop payment. So I think a lot of it is that they're following the rules. They're trying to get there. It's this change again. We're going to have to be more skeptical about it. You see it, and Drew, I don't want to speak to what the number was. The bulk of all of this in terms of the money is coming out basically out of the Medicaid program. Is that correct? Yeah.
The bulk of the money is coming out of if I'm correct, go right to jail. 13 of the 20 members of the 1980 Miracle on Ice team were Minnesotans. President Trump says, any Somalis on the team? I don't think so.
The pride we felt, President Bill Baker, I'm from Minnesota. I know that right now that doesn't ring very well. Hopefully we can get that turned around.
Minnesota is the laughingstock of the nation. Did you hear that? Everyone in the Oval Office cracking up at just the utterance of the word, the name of the state.
Have Somalians in the any Somalians on the team? I don't think so. Ilya and Omar.
The pride we felt in 1980 was
Yes.
incredible, and we are starting to feel that again thanks to your leadership. Thank you very much.
Well, you know, Minnesota's a great place, and this is a great leader right here from
Sure is.
Minnesota. He loves it. Not happy with what's going on up there.
President Bill Baker.
Yeah, no one's happy. And now it's a huge national issue. Tampon Tim lives at TikTok 6 hours ago, pushing the lie that the Trump administration deported a military vet to South Korea. The fact is, Se-Jun Park, who has prior criminal convictions, self-deported. Oh, Tampon Tim lying again.
Uniform, obviously. They took American citizens. They deported a U.S. combat veteran who served this nation in uniform and deported him to South Korea, a country he has not been in since he was 8 years old. So I want to address, obviously.
But he's self-deported, so how do you rectify that one? Let's keep going. More fraud exposed. Somalis in Ohio allegedly running EBT fraud rings and using SNAP benefits. Oh, it just keeps getting worse.
4,000 Ohio. More Somali fraud has been exposed out of Ohio. This is getting out of hand, and they're all being exposed. Listen to this. Somalis in Ohio are allegedly running EBT fraud rings using SNAP benefits to stock their restaurants, skimming cards to make millions. More than 34,000 Ohio households have been duped out of nearly 17 million in SNAP benefits from June 2023 to December 2024, with Somali migrant criminals using skimming devices at grocery stores to clone magnetic strip cards and steal the money, according to the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. In addition, a recent report details how Somali-owned restaurants and grocery stores in Columbus are exploiting benefits. According to the report, migrants own restaurants with attached grocery stores that they own. They buy their ingredients in bulk with SNAP from their grocery stores, then funnel the food to their restaurants where they sell it for cash. One report claims that the Somali migrant men who own the restaurants typically have numerous wives. That's crazy. They only have to claim their first wife so that subsequent wives are able to collect welfare benefits that are then used to prop up the stores and restaurants. This comes as of a 2022 audit of Somali Community Link. A Columbus nonprofit funded in 2020 by Somali migrants exposed a reported $2.3 million in fraud from federal emergency rental assistance program funds. The investigation flagged missing rental aid, violations of cash management protocols, and inadequate fraud safeguards. Despite these failures, the group, tied to local politicians via campaign donations, secured $350,000 in state funding last summer for a community center, plus $100,000 from Columbus for housing and youth programs. Back in 2020, Somali brothers Hassan and Abdurrahim Noriso, former owners of Tawfiq Market in Columbus, were indicted for a 9-year SNAP and WIC fraud conspiracy totaling over $10 million. The duo allegedly swapped benefits for cash at half the value. Abdurrahim, who oversaw operations, was sentenced to 2 years behind bars. Hassan got house arrest and probation after a guilty plea. So you can defraud SNAP benefits for $10 million and you get house arrest and probation. Only if you're Somalian, I guess, because if I do that and if you and I do that, we're going to go to jail for a long, long time. More Somali fraud has been exposed out of Ohio. This is getting out of hand.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. First it's welfare, now it's SNAP, it's EBT now. Minnesota judges, this is even crazier. Minnesota judges dismissing fraud cases against the Somali immigrants. Judge dismissed a $7.2 million fraud case after he was found guilty by a jury. Another judge dismissed charges against the same defendant's wife before it could even reach trial. A third judge, Hillary Lindell Caligulari, dismissed charges against another co-defendant.
Against another co-defendant. In that case, the Minnesota judge who tossed out a jury's guilty verdict in a fraud case is not the only judge in Hennepin County who had problems with the state's case. I broke this story that went national a couple weeks ago. Judge Sarah West acquitted Abdi Fattah Youssef 3 months after a jury found him guilty in a $7.2 million home health care fraud scheme. Since then, I've found that another judge, Amber Brennan, dismissed charges against Youssef's wife before it reached trial, and a third judge, Hillary Caligiuri, dismissed charges against another co-defendant. In that case, Caligiuri said the state had very little evidence. Judge West's ruling relies on a review standard for cases that rely heavily on circumstantial evidence with wording that is unique to Minnesota. It says that the evidence has to be inconsistent with any other reasonable hypothesis. I'm following a state Supreme Court decision expected to come back soon that could completely rewrite all of that. It's the conviction of Nick Firkus for the 2010 murder of his wife Heidi. Whether his conviction is overturned or affirmed, the court opinion will have a huge impact on many cases in the state. I'm Lou Ragoose. Follow for more news.
What's up, Lou? Thank you for your reporting. Tim Pool reporting. I think any reasonable person can conclude Ilhan Omar married her brother based on the reporting we're seeing. Before we get to that, let's just jump right down to the documents that come right out of the White House today. This is huge stuff. Here it is. Holy crap, Eric Daugherty writes. The White House just posted proof Ilhan Omar married her brother. Tom Homan said the federal government's investigating. She must be deported and she committed immigration fraud. Their story proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Omar married her brother for some fraudulent purpose, the Free Beacon. Okay, so here we have the marriage license application. You can see it here on the record. Oh boy, these are the documents that the White House has posted officially. Ilhan Omar marriage fraud exposure. Ilhan Omar, also known as Ilhan Abdullani Omar or Ilhan whatever, has been quoted in the media, by the media, as being married to Ahmed Hirsi from 2011 to now. She's only ever mentioned him as her husband. And there's more. Let's see what else they posted here. Let me get a better shot for you guys here. Let's just try it this way. Okay. Ilhan Abdulli Omar, spouse Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi. Marriage in Hennepin County, Minnesota. What's even more shocking is that Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi is actually her brother. He's a British citizen, arrived in the United States in 2008. As soon as Ilhan Omar married him, he started university at her alma mater in North Dakota State, where he graduated in 2012. Shortly thereafter, he moved to Minnesota, where he was living in a public housing complex and was later evicted. He then returned to the United Kingdom, where he now lives. So he comes here and gets free citizenship, and he goes back. Lovely. So the White House posting the receipts for the world to see. Let's see what else is in the box today. Let's go back to Tim Pool.
The other day, here's the story from Newsweek. Tom Homan, President Donald Trump's border czar, said during a Newsmax appearance on Monday that the admin is investigating Rep. Ilhan Omar for alleged immigration fraud. Quote, I just got advised by a fraud investigator the other day on that. I asked the question, can we review the files? You know, there was immigration fraud involved. The statute of limitation became an issue in the last 4 years when this was first brought up. He continued, pulling the records now, pulling the files, we're looking at it. But this fraud investigator, who I know personally, one of the best fraud investigators in HSI, said there's no doubt he'd reviewed the file. He'd review the file. So I'm running that down this week as a matter of fact, and we will see. They're going to say that Trump has claimed that Omar allegedly married her brother. No. Trump did not claim allegedly. Trump overtly said she did. That is bold because that's actionable. You can see, like, that's defamation, okay? Now, the interesting thing is with the Free Beacon publishing an overt statement of fact, Ilhan Omar married her brother. Boom. We are now in shocking territory where I think any reasonable person can conclude Ilhan Omar married her brother based on the reporting we are seeing. These news organizations, these investigators, these politicos, they don't say these things lightly because of the possibility of litigation and what's called defamation per se. Now, defamation is a false statement of fact. And if you're a public figure, there's something called Times v. Sullivan. That is, you have to have acted with actual malice. And what does that mean in a legal sense? That you knew what you were saying was wrong or had reckless disregard for the truth. That means that if I were to say something like, Alex Stein kicked a dog, is that defamatory? It could be. But what if he sues me? How does that work? Well, I'm going to say, look, I saw rumors online. I thought it was true. He's a public figure. Everybody was talking about it. He's not going to win. How do you prove damages? It's tough. Now, the reality is Alex Stein has never kicked a dog. I'm using it as an example.
How do you know that, Tim? How do you know?
But what if I said Alex Stein tortured a dog to death in front of a crowd of people? That is a crime. And that's where we get into defamation per se. Defamation per se is when you defame someone in such an egregious matter that on the face, it is damaging to someone's life. And it's hard to find that line. It really is. But usually it's accusing someone of a crime, of having a disease. These things are considered defamation per se.
So is it defamation to say that Ilhan Omar is a disease? I don't know. Sue me. Okay, so we've got this. Greg Stubbe says Tim Walz should face criminal charges of conspiracy, aiding and abetting criminal behavior due to his role in the Somali fraud scandal.
Refugees were not vetted. They should be fully vetted by this current administration, and I'm sure they're working on doing that. They have so many things that they're working on that they need more ICE agents and they need more Border Patrol agents to go through all of the litany of the open border policies of Joe Biden over the last 4 years and the 12 million illegals that are in our country. Yesterday in the testimony, there's still 100 something or several hundred known terrorists that the Biden administration let into our country that they're trying to search and get out. But that is one piece. And then the fraud should also be investigated from the DOJ. That's criminal penalties. That's stealing taxpayer dollars when you don't have a right to be able to get those. And I believe not only the people that defrauded the United States out of those taxpayer dollars on those government programs should be held criminally liable. I think the leaders of that state, like Walz, who knew or should have known that this was going on, should be held accountable as well.
Okay, so how does that work? So yeah, Tim Walz, would this be a DOJ thing?
Well, it would be like a conspiracy case. It would be like you aided and abetted criminal behavior. I mean, there's all sorts of different statutes you could probably tie in. If he knew or should have known that fraudulent activity was going on in his state, or even took steps to allow it to occur, that's aiding and abetting criminal behavior. That's obstruction. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things. Statutes that they could lop in for that.
Yeah, baby, let's go. Sounds like you got a roadmap. Can we just follow it all the way to our destination? And the memes are hot. They're coming in. If you want to be my lover, you got to be my brother, right? Remember the Spice Girls? Oh, there's Ilhan Omar, and she's Nasty Spice. Let's keep going. Ilhan Omar and her husband decided to split up and see other siblings. Ooh, that one's hot. Oh, here's another one. Time to charge her and remove her from Congress and denaturalize her. What's this one? I can't believe it's my brother. I remember when that stuff came out. I can't believe it's not butter. Oh, what a perfect way to bring the meme fire. Oh, and speaking of fire, we got this loser. Democrat Somali Omar Fattah posted a video guiding illegals on how to avoid getting arrested by ICE and links to CARE, the same group officially designated as a terrorist organization.
First, when ICE or an ICE agent comes to your door, you have the right not to open and to request information. You can ask for a judicial warrant that's signed by a judge. If they have a judicial warrant.
I mean, this guy looks so malnourished. I mean, clearly this guy's not getting his SNAP benefits. Come on, man. Stock up, bro. You're Somali. It's in your blood.
and not an administrative warrant. We saw that play out earlier today in the F building, in the towers behind me, in which an ICE agent came saying that they had a warrant to search the premises. We had Representative Mahmoud Noor, who did a great job.
That guy's just too close to the camera. Okay, thanks. We get the point, dude. You're going to just keep telling people how to evade ICE. Right. Got it. Speaking of evading ICE, we got this. Illegals in Minnesota are literally harassing and taunting real Americans who live there. Real America's Voice posted this.
Hey, nigga! Shoot Ben!
Oh, nice. It's the Ben Berquam clip. What's up, Ben?
Legal, nigga! Bitch ass nigga!
Shit, I just get him out of here. Make America great again. I'm John Fitzgerald, and I am a MAGA. Make America great again. Get him the hell out of here. Get him the hell out of here.
You hear the way these guys are talking to him.
Yeah, no, I want him gone. I want him out of here. They are the most unfriendly. We live right across the street from them. And there's been times where this whole cul-de-sac has been completely lined with Mercedes, BMWs.
And this is how they talk. Second generation.
Come here!
No, it's just...
Hey! I'm right here though!
Unbelievable. This is the problem. You got the second, third generation here. You invited them in, invite the illegals in, and then they have kids that hate this country, are taught to hate this country. And then you got neighbors living right across the street that have to deal with it.
There might be repercussions for me because, but 15, 20, 25 know where I live. I ain't afraid.
Yeah.
I'm not backing down.
If you could say something to President Trump, to Tom Holland, what would you tell him?
President Trump, start with Ilhan Omar, get her out of here and drag all of this business here, get them out of here. Yeah, we're Americans. Yeah.
So I noticed you've got a for sale sign out here. How much of that decision has to do with the illegals and the Somalis that are here in the neighborhood?
Oh, a lot. It's a major part of our reason why we want to get out of here.
Hey, nigga! Shoot Ben!
Good luck selling that house with those neighbors. But President Trump said it clear.
There have been some reports resurfacing and circulating, even by your own administration, alleging Ilhan Omar's marriage to her brother. And this would be a fraudulent situation if there, in fact, is found to be fraud in a situation like that. Would you like to see her denaturalized or others who have similarly committed fraud?
Well, I think she's very bad for our country. All she does is complain, complain, complain. She comes out of a country where they have no government, they have no military, they have no police, they got no nothing. They don't have a country. And they run around killing each other. And then she comes over here. She tells the United States of America how it should be run. We don't want to hear from her. I don't want to hear from her. I don't want to speak for Emmer, but I don't think Emmer particularly wants to hear. But don't say it because I don't want to get you in trouble, okay? Just be nice and easy, all right? I'll do it for you, but that part I'll do. But I just want to say that there's nothing worse than a person that comes in and does nothing but bitch.
So the White House has posted what's described as proof that Ilhan Omar married her brother. Tom Holman confirming the federal government's now investigating, and officials say there is a real probability of deportation because immigration fraud is, in fact, a felony. Denaturalization is on the table. Removal from Congress is being demanded, and the same system that protected her for years is now scrambling to explain why none of this was investigated sooner. The walls are closing in, and for the first time, the consequences may actually be real. And what you just witnessed is really not politics. It's the exposure of a two-tiered system that's designed to protect the connected and punish everyone else. A congresswoman under federal investigation for marrying her brother to game immigration. A governor facing calls for criminal charges. Judges dismissing fraud cases after guilty verdicts. Millions stolen from American taxpayers through benefit fraud. And state officials posting videos helping illegals evade arrest while linking to groups labeled as terrorists. This is Minnesota in 2025. This is what happens when accountability disappears and ideology replaces law. So the question is whether this moment finally breaks the protection racket, or will they find a way to bury it again? But I'll ask you directly. Should Ilhan Omar be deported if fraud is in fact confirmed? Yes or no? Answer in the comments. And if you want to stand with independent media that refuses to look away, check out the Next News merch shop linked in the description. Your support keeps this fight alive.